I'd like to call the meeting of Leesburg Planning Commission to order. It's December 19th, 2024, 4:30. Please stand for the invocation and pledge allegiance to the flag.
Dear Lord, we ask for your blessings today as we tackle the business of the city of Leesburg. We pray that the decisions we make today will be pleasing to your sight. We pray this in our most holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Oh. All right. Has everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes from the last meeting? If there's any deletions, corrections, or additions, you can make that motion. If not, I'll accept the motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the minutes as submitted.
I think.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. All right. Let's go ahead and swear in the staff. And if you plan on speaking today, please stand up to be sworn in. Even if you're sworn in, you don't have to talk, but to talk, you have to be sworn in. Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. All right. Daniel? It's your play.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome everyone to the December 19, 2024 City of Leesburg Planning Commission meeting. My name is Dan Miller, Planning Director of the City of Leesburg. Staff present today includes, to my left, Executive Assistant Sabrina Mitchell, Deputy Director Candy Harper on the front row. Back to my left, Senior Planner Diane Yeckel, and on the keyboard today.
Sound like a band. I'd like to introduce the band. Sorry.
Who's playing bass?
From Leesburg,
I'm
Florida,
back.
Max Van Allen.
Can you tell I'm back?
Max Van Allen, and then City Attorney Jennifer Koch here to my right. Today's agenda and speakers registry is available on the table by the exit door. If you'd like to speak on a case today, we do ask you to please sign the speakers registry and turn it into Sabrina. Under the rules of participation, the meeting will be conducted by the following process. The chairman will announce each case, then the staff will read present exhibits into the record. This will include maps, photos, and text shown on the screens. The staff will then give the background and some descriptive information for the case and will provide a recommendation for the case. The applicant will then have the opportunity to speak on a case. The public will have time for public comments, and the applicant will be given the opportunity for rebuttal. The chairman will then close the case to the public, and the commission will discuss the case. At that point, the commission will take a vote and then move on to the next case. The Planning Commission consists of local citizens who are appointed by the City Commission. The commission, this commission here today is charged with two major responsibilities. The first is to make final decisions on cases such as variances and conditional uses. We have none of those on the agenda today. The second is to make recommendations for issues that will be heard by the City Commission in the future. There are 8 cases on today's agenda. 2 of those cases have asked to be postponed. The remaining 6 will receive a recommendation by the Planning Commission. These recommendations will be forwarded to the City Commission for final decisions. So today's actions are recommendations by the Planning Commission, and the final decisions to approve or deny these requests will be done at the City Commission at a future meeting, which you will note there are tentative dates for these City Commission meetings listed in bold on the agenda. And we ask you to note that these dates are subject to be changed due to scheduling conflicts and so forth. So please do check with our office across the street or the city clerk's office regarding the final hearing date so you don't waste a trip downtown. Finally, on behalf of the City of Leesburg planning staff and the Leesburg Planning Commission, we want to thank you for participating in today's public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I have a legal question real quick. Since they've asked to postpone those last two, I always hate for people to wait until that comes along. Can we adjust the agenda at the beginning of the meeting?
Certainly.
And that way, people that are here for that can go ahead and leave.
Yes, you can absolutely do that.
Because it's a long meeting. I hate for everybody to sit here for nothing.
Thank you.
Okay. We have two cases, case number 3 in the new business and case number 4 in the new business, that have asked to be postponed to a later date. So on public hearing case number SSCP 24382, Venice at Lake Harris, small-scale comprehensive plan amendment. Do I have a motion to postpone to February 20th?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Any discussion? Should we roll call that?
You don't have to, but you can.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? On the new business, number 4, public hearing case number SPUD 24383, Venice at Lake Harris, small planned unit development. They've asked to postpone that to February 20th as well. Do I have a motion to approve that postponement?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll save some of you that might be here for that. So in case you missed that, if you're here for the Venice development off of 27, that's being postponed to February 20th. Okay. Looks like I didn't need to do that, but. Okay, old business. Public hearing case number LSCP 24253, Leather Leaf Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under the overall proposal for this project, this is an annexation, small-scale comp plan, and rezoning. The property consists of approximately 73.2 plus or minus acres, generally located north of County Road 48 and southeast of County Road 33. The request is for future development of 235 detached single-family residences, 48 paired villas, which could be described as duplexes, and 120,000 square feet of amenities, medical office, general office, retail, sales, and service. On the first of these two cases, Mr. Chairman, I was going to ask, could we describe these as one and then take the vote separately as we normally do, sir?
Yes.
For the first case, it's a large-scale comp
Should I go ahead and
plan.
introduce the other one now, too?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for that, because I totally forgot.
Yeah, I forgot to.
Old business number 2, public hearing case number PUD 24254, Leather Leaf Plan Unit Development. We have two cases that we cover the same material, so we introduce both at the same time. We just cover the material once, and then we vote on them separately. That's why we're doing that. Just explain.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the first case, this is a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment. The request is to change the future land use designation from Lake County Regional Commercial to City of Leesburg General Commercial. On the second case, which would be the rezoning, we have a comp plan and a rezoning. The request would be to amend the current zoning from Lake County A Agriculture to City of Leesburg Planned Unit Development. Ms. Diane Yeckel, Senior Planner, will be presenting the maps and photo exhibits, which will include the aerial zoning, future and surrounding land use, wetlands, flood zone maps, and CRA maps.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. So for our first map, we have the locator map, which is a broader view of the subject property. It shows that the subject property is south of County Road 33, west of Highway 27, and north of County Road 48. And then for the aerial, we have the same view, just closer, south of County Road 33, west of Highway 27, and north of County Road 48. The future land use shows to the east, city low-density residential and general commercial, and then to the southeast and southwest, city industrial. For Lake County future land use, the current future land use of the subject property is Lake County Regional Commercial, and it is surrounded by Lake County Urban Medium Density to the east and south, Regional Office to the west, and Regional Commercial, Urban Low Density, and Planned Unit Development to the west and north. The proposed future land use is General Commercial. And for the zoning to the east is City Planned Unit Development and C3, which is Highway Commercial. To the southeast, we have City CIP, which is Commercial Industrial Planned. And to the southwest, City PUD, Planned Unit Development. For Lake County zoning, it is currently zoned Lake County Agriculture. It is surrounded by Lake County RM, which is mixed home residential to the east, Lake County CP, planned commercial, R7, which is mixed residential, agriculture, LM, which is light industrial to the south, and then we have MP, planned industrial, agriculture, CP, planned commercial, R6, urban residential, R7, mixed residential to the west. And to the north, we have agriculture, RMPP, which is a mobile home rental park, CFD, community facility, R6, urban residential, and C1, neighborhood commercial. And the proposed zoning is PUD, planned unit development. For the surrounding land use, to the north, we have a rental RV park. We have a rental manufactured home park. We have vacant commercial. And to the east, we have a manufactured home subdivision and pasture. To the south, we have vacant industrial and single-family residential. And to the west, we have light manufacturing, vacant residential, and a rental RV park. And for the wetlands and flood zone map, we can see that there is none present on the subject property. The community redevelopment area to the east is the 27441 CRA. And the commission district, it is close to District 3. And for the photos, you'll see that we posted signs. We have a close-up of the sign posted on CR 48 on the top, and on the bottom looking north into the property on CR 48. We have looking east on CR 48 and looking across the street south on CR 48 on the bottom there. And on top we have looking west on CR 48 and looking east into the property in Haywood Worm Farm Road. And then on the top picture we have looking south on Haywood Worm Farm Road, and the bottom is looking west across the street on Haywood Worm Farm Road. And the top picture is looking north on Haywood Worm Farm Road. And the bottom picture is looking southeast into the property on County Road 33. The top picture is looking southwest on County Road 33. And the bottom is looking across the street northwest on County Road 33. And the final picture is looking northeast on County Road 33. And that is all I have, Mr. Miller. Thank you.
Back to the advertisement for day trade. Sorry.
With that, we move to the departmental review summary. The project was sent out to all city departments plus Lake County government and school board. Under the city department responses, the electric department responded that it is outside of the city of Leesburg electric area. I don't know if that's Seco or Duke, but it is not in the city's area. Otherwise, there were no substantive comments back from the city departments. When this occurs, of course, this indicates that the departments have the capacity to serve the proposal that's being shown. We did also send this to the school board. Their response was that this project would be subject to school concurrency review, and which essentially means that they would be subject to a mitigation agreement to provide adequate student stations within the school system. In other words, it's generally a cash-type payment to supply those so that the school board can spend at the time that the student stations are needed. Under Lake County Public Works, they responded with a lot of comments on this particular project. The general comments were to add turn lanes on County Road 48 and 33 at the proposed access points, and additional right-of-way along County Road 48 and 33. And they noted that both County Road 48 and 33 are considered urban collectors. If you break down roads, you have the arterials, collectors, and local roads, which might be your neighborhood roads. So they were just noting that those are both collectors. Now, specifically on County Road 48, Lake County stated there would be left and right turn lanes needed at the project entrances, accommodation for the West Lake Trail, because the county has a trail plan along 48, along the 48 frontage, meaning they would have to donate right-of-way. There'd be additional right-of-way on County Road 48 to accommodate any road and right-of-way improvements. And they noted specifically for future expansion of County Road 48 into 4 lanes. So somewhere there's a plan to get that road widened. There's a detailed survey of County Road 48 would also be required as a part of the development process. On County Road 33, much the same, left and right turn lanes required at project entrances, additional right-of-way for County Road 33 to meet the requirements for a collector roadway that would include road drainage, and then a detailed survey of the property along County Road 33 to verify property lines, right-of-ways, utilities. They also included Haywood Worm Farm Road. The area will become a city-maintained local roadway, okay, if the project is approved. Additional right-of-way may be required for development purposes, and drainage from Haywood Worm Farm Road must be within the right-of-way and internal development retention ponds. Now, these are all more or less standard comments, but we wanted to bring those out because we do have on these major collectors entrances on each side. And then they had their standard comments, as they do in all projects, of a traffic impact study, internal connectivity for pedestrians and cyclists, which we've accounted for, and stormwater management would also be reviewed by the City of Leesburg, Lake County, and St. John's River Water Management District. Under public responses, per the Florida statutes and City of Leesburg Code of Ordinances, the notice requirements, the project was legally advertised, posted, and letters were sent out to the surrounding property owners. We received nothing as of yesterday in writing.
Did the developer see all the comments from the county?
Yes. Under the PUD requirements, this proposal consists of, and this is highlighting the plan unit development condition agreement, 235 detached single-family residences plus 48 paired villas. We say a paired villa, I'm basically saying a duplex, so 48 duplexes. That gives you a total gross density of about 3.86 units an acre, 120,000 square feet of commercial uses, no other uses, of commercial area plus residential area. Lot sizes on the single family, they're proposing 50 and 60 feet single family lot sizes and 60 feet for the duplex sizes. The front setbacks are our standard on the PUDs, 25 on the front, 120 feet deep lots, 18 feet rear setbacks on the single families. The house sizes are 1,600 and 1,700 square feet for each respective lot size and 1,300 for the duplex units. There's a minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces for each unit.
1,300 each?
Yes, sir.
Per unit or for 2?
I believe that was per unit was the design. I'd have to go back and look at the design. But I believe it was per side.
Okay.
Or if it's stacked, it can be a number of ways. I will get that clarified. 2 floors being the maximum height, 6 acres devoted to commercial enterprises, which would be space for things such as restaurant office, medical office, office, restaurant, medical offices, those types of things, and some retail. And that's adjacent to the main entrance on County Road 48. There are architectural standards required. There are facades that are shown in Exhibit D. We're also requiring the standard dark sky lighting, trees in each yard, 35% open space, 25-foot landscape buffer along the entirety of the property boundaries. There would be a fence required along all property not adjacent to an existing wetland or preserved area. And then wood, wrought iron, or split rail would be an acceptable fencing material, and I believe there are some examples of that in Exhibit F. There's sidewalks required throughout the development. The standard, you can use Bahia or Bermuda, but not St. Augustine because it uses too much water requirement. The access is along County Road 33 and 48. The Lake County requirements would be in effect. The main access points will all have to be boulevard type roadways. That's a landscape median of at least 8 feet wide and extra width on the lanes to allow emergency vehicles to maneuver. Of course, the signage would be the standard 5 feet monument-style signage on each side of the road. Recreation requirements include 1.3 acres devoted to separate recreation area set aside for a swimming pool, playground, dog parks, gazebos, those types of uses. There's also the expiration or phasing clause in there, and what that does is states that a development must move forward within 48 months, consistent with this PUD document, or the property automatically reverts to the R1 zoning district. And I always emphasize this because the R1 zoning district allows 1 acre per unit, not 1 unit per acre. Those are different things in the planning world. 1 acre per unit means you have to establish an acre before you can put 1 unit on it. So this would, if they don't act within 48 months to what's considered a substantial commencement, which is spending a lot of money and moving a lot of dirt, then there's an automatic reversion. All the development must be on city water and wastewater, so there's no wells or septics here. I'd like to go ahead and read the recommendations on these, Mr. Chairman. For the large-scale comp plan, LSCP 24-253 is the case number. Planning Zoning Department is recommending approval of the request for the following reasons. Number one, the project meets the requirements of Chapter 163.3184 Florida statutes for large-scale comprehensive plan amendments. The proposed large-scale comprehensive plan amendment is compatible with the adjacent future land use designations of Lake County urban low, urban medium, regional commercial, and regional office, and with City of Leesburg low-density residential, and as conditioned industrial and general commercial. 3, the proposed zoning classification of PUD, plan unit development, is compatible as conditioned with the current surrounding zoning districts of Lake County A, agriculture, mixed home residential, RMRP, which is mobile home rental park district, plan unit development, R6 urban residential, R7 mixed residential, C1 neighborhood commercial, C2 community commercial, and MP planned industrial, and with City of Leesburg plan unit development. 4, the proposed future land use designation for the site is consistent with the city's growth management plan, future land use element, goal 1, objective 1.6. The action on this case, we request to vote to approve the staff's recommendation to change the future land use of the subject property from Lake County Regional Commercial to City of Leesburg General Commercial, and forward this recommendation to the City Commission for their consideration. Under the rezoning case, which is PUD 24-254, Planning and Zoning Department recommends approval of this request for these reasons. 1, proposed zoning classification of PUD is compatible as conditioned with the current surrounding zoning districts, which we mentioned previously. 2, the proposed large-scale comprehensive plan amendment is compatible with the adjacent future land use designations that we mentioned previously, if you don't mind if I don't go over those again. And 3, the proposed request as conditioned does not appear to create a detriment to the surrounding properties based on the location and proximity to future compatible development. The action requested is vote to approve staff's recommendation to rezone the subject property from Lake County Agriculture to City of Leesburg Plan Unit Development, and forward this recommendation to the City of Leesburg City Commission for their consideration. Mr. Chairman, Ms. Heather Erwiller is of Land Planning Group of Mount Dora, is here to represent the case and answer any questions you may have, and staff will also answer any questions you may have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of staff before we go on? Okay. Please state your name and your address, please.
Good afternoon. Heather Erwiller. I'm representative for LPG, Urban and Land Planning Group. Our professional address is 1162 Camp Avenue, Mount Dora, Florida. 32757 is the zip. With that, we want to thank you for hearing our applications today. Want to thank the planning staff for their thorough, as always, thorough explanation. My understanding is, Dan, that the units are in fact individually 1,300 square feet on the paired villas
Thank
each
you.
side, but we can further clarify that at a later date if we need to. But yeah.
Each unit.
Each unit, yeah, so each side. Right now, we don't have a full elevation for the internal layouts. We're still working on those for the actual units themselves, so I can't tell you if they're all gonna be stacked or how it's gonna fit on the lot. It's something that it'll depend on the design that we actually choose, and those are still in development right now for the inside, right? So we have a footprint, but we don't necessarily have the internal structures and floor plans set up yet. So I can answer any other questions that you have. The staff has done a thorough explanation of what we're actually requesting here. We did see the comments from the Lake County Public Works Department. We'll be working and following up with them as well. The traffic study is still in the process of being completed at this time, and we're confident that we'll be able to meet the requirements that we need to meet to make these the lot designs work.
Okay. Any questions?
Now, as far as you know, do you know if they plan on widening the roads out there?
So I spoke to Seth Lynch, especially on 48, because I had that concern on the 48 side. Part of the reason why the commercial is set up that way is that we anticipated that someday, it's not in a work plan right now, but someday that will happen. And when that happens, because of the commercial and industrial to the south of 48, that intersection at Hayward Farm Road becomes the main intersection there for the cross-through traffic. It's not going to be signalized, but that'll be the cross point, right? Rather than this location. So we're anticipating those issues at the front end of this project, understanding that 48 is going to be expanded at some point.
Yes, ma'am.
Same thing with 33. Like we looked at 33, Seth didn't have as much issues with that location on this location on 33 because of the way that it meets. But we did everything we could to align driveways and things to make it a little easier so you won't have those choke points along the roadway.
Any other questions?
Yes, you've compensated for the 4-laning and then the setbacks, how close are the homes going to be if the road is 4-lane?
Right, so I don't know what the whole right-of-way request is going to be from the county at this point because they don't have the full design done and we don't have the full surveys of the 48 corridor right now. Like I don't have a full 48 survey related to this project in the front of it, so I can't answer that question.
They just prepared them ahead.
We're preparing and we're aware of that issue, and it's going to be an ongoing piece as we move forward in the process, depending upon how quickly the county moves forward with the expansion. Since we don't have an actual plan with the county, I can't answer those questions, unfortunately.
Radically change your footprint.
It will change the footprint if, again, we can accommodate the county whenever. It depends on the development cycle.
Thank you.
Ken?
Looking at this map here, can you tell me how many residences there are going to be?
There is going to be 235 single-family residential units and 48 paired villas.
Okay. And
So a total of 283, I think it is.
And these are zero lot lines?
No, there will be setbacks.
Because I don't see any spaces on this diagram that's in front of us.
So what's shown here is just the actual lots. It doesn't actually show the footprints for the homes.
Okay,
So
and the ones in white, what's the dimension of those lots?
they're 60 foot wide. I don't know, is it 120 foot deep, or do we make those 100 foot? 120 foot deep, I believe, on the villas.
Okay, so those are 60, and the tan ones are larger?
The tan ones are the 50s, and the ones in the orange, I believe, are the 60-foot wide lots for the single family. So the ones in the tan are where the paired villas are going to be. So that's showing 2 units within a 60-foot footprint because it's a duplex. So on the 60-foot, there's 2 attached homes, one building, 2 attached units on that footprint. But together they're 60 foot.
Yeah, it seems pretty congested to me, but Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody here that wants to speak for or against? All right. All right, we're closed to the public. And is there any discussion?
To be clear, it's in the county now, zoned agriculture, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So that means, if I'm not mistaken, that that's one home for every 5 acres. Is that correct? Okay. Just want to clear that.
Any other discussion?
The other question I had was to the east. If you could bring that map up with
Now,
the,
it's
between the,
flipped.
I know that.
Okay.
I want to see one of the zoning maps that shows where the Publix plaza is, and there's a parcel. Is that the parcel that we just voted on recently for townhouses?
Across the street.
It's to the east.
Yeah.
To the east adjacent, correct? Is that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
pasture with woods on it?
Yeah,
So that's going to be,
Onstead's.
that's what I thought. So that's townhouses, but has that been approved by the city? Commissioners? Commissioners?
That one's already been through, hasn't it?
Should have, unless it got postponed.
Well, yeah, I know. I just was curious.
But I believe that one did pass. We can find out. I've got a ton of them going through.
Yeah, because that came before us back in August or
Can't verify
September.
it did.
Okay, well, the same old question comes up about traffic. As we all realize, that's the situation on 33 and 48. Particularly intersection is a major issue down there, and it's just, it's a nightmare.
Well, the good thing, it sounds like the county's looking into all that, so,
Yeah.
that's why I'm a little more comfortable that there might be 4-lane in that, so.
East and west, not north and south.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, I'll accept the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve LSCP 24-253.
All right. Motion's been moved to approve it as presented. Is there a second? Who second? Okay, dies lack of a second. Okay. On public hearing case number PUD 24-254, do I have a motion?
Yes, I would also like to make a motion to approve PUD 24-254.
Okay, it's been a motion to approve. Is there a second? Okay, dies of a second, lack of a second. Okay. Now, if you're here for or against it, it will still go to the city commission, so whether we pass it or not. So, and that will be January 13th is the first reading, and March 24th is the second reading. Thank you.
You don't want to make any motion toward,
Oh,
We have to do something.
yeah, okay. Sorry, thank you. Is there a motion on case number LSCP 24-253? See, I mean, you can't force people to make a motion, so,
just,
yeah, so that's why I didn't see a need for it. It's just kind of given. All right.
Would the motion be to reject?
If you want to, yes.
Yeah, I would make a motion to reject the application.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion on that? Roll call?
Commissioner O'Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Simeone,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanders,
No.
Commissioner Ackerman.
He's not here.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Bowersox,
Yes.
Commissioner Sennett,
No.
Commissioner Kaplan.
Yes.
Okay. Same on public hearing, case number PUD 24-254. Is there a motion on that?
Motion to reject the application.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Ken wins. Any discussion? Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Simeoni.
Reject, yes.
Commissioner Sanders.
No.
Commissioner Bowersox.
Yes.
Commissioner Sinnott.
No.
Commissioner Kaplan.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Kelly.
Yes.
Okey dokey.
Thank you.
Now we're done. All right, public hearing case number LSCP 24-345, Silver Springs Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan and Amendment. We have another case that's connected to that, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce that as well. Case number 4 is public hearing case number PUD 24-346, Silver Springs Planned Unit Development. So all the information will be provided ahead of time, then we'll vote on them separately.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The overall proposal for this project is an annexation, large-scale comp plan and rezoning on 337 plus or minus acres, generally located on the west side of Number 2 Road and north of Busby Road. The request is for annexation, large-scale comp plan, and PUD zoning to allow for future development of 825 detached single-family residences and associated amenities. On the first case, which is a large-scale comp plan, the request is to change the future land use designation from Lake County Rural to City of Leesburg Estate. On the second case, the rezoning, the request is to amend the current zoning from Lake County A Agricultural and Community Facilities District to City of Leesburg PUD Planned Unit Development. Ms. Max Van Allen, planner of the office, will present the maps and photo exhibits, including aerial zoning, future land use, surrounding land use, wetlands, flood zone, and CRA maps.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. The first image is the extended aerial showing the subject property south of County Road 48 and east of US 27. The close-up aerial shows the subject property south of Watson Road, west of Number 2 Road, and north of Busby and Moggsbog Road. The City of Leesburg surrounding future land use include estate residential to the north and west, neighborhood mixed use to the west, east, and south, institutional to the west, and low-density residential to the northwest. The existing future land use is Lake County Rural and is surrounded by Lake County designations such as rural to the east and south, rural transition to the north, urban low density to the north and west. The proposed future land use designation is estate residential. The surrounding city zoning includes PUD, planned unit development, to the northeast, west, and south, and RE1, R1A, and A to the north. The existing zoning is Lake County CFD and A agriculture, and is surrounded by Lake County PUD to the north and west, and A agriculture to the northeast and south. The proposed zoning is city PUD, planned unit development. Surrounding land uses include residential to the northwest, east, and south, residential commons to the north and west, timber to the east and south, nursery to the east, non-agricultural acreage to the east and west, pasture improved to the northeast. There is flood zone present on the subject property, particularly in the northwest corner. There are also wetlands present in the same area of the subject property in the northwest corner. The property is surrounded by Commission District 3. The top image of the signs that were posted shows a close-up of the sign on the property from Watson Road. The bottom image is looking north across Watson Road. The top image is looking east along Watson Road. The bottom image is looking south into the subject property across Watson Road. The top image is looking west along Watson Road. The bottom image is a close-up of the sign on the property from Number 2 Road. top image is looking north along number 2 road. The bottom image is looking east across number 2 road. The top image is looking south along number 2 road. And the bottom image is looking west across number 2 road. The top image is a close-up of the sign on the property from Busby Road. And the bottom image is looking north into the subject property across Busby Road. Top image is looking east along, I believe this would be Watson, maybe Busby, excuse me, that is an error, and looking south across Busby, and finally looking west along Busby. That's all I have, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Max. Moving to the departmental review summary, the project was sent out to all city departments, plus the Lake County Government and School Board. City Department responses, again, the electric department noted it's outside of the Leesburg service area for electricity. We received no substantive comments from the city departments. For the school board, they noted this project would be subject to school concurrency, and a mitigation agreement to provide adequate stations within the school system would be required, same as previous cases. Under Lake County Public Works, they actually had no comments on this one, with the exception, and I believe the reason for that was with the exception of emergency access. This project does not access on number 2 road, which, as you're aware, is a substandard road. So it's all the traffic on this project would get directed back toward US 27. Under public responses, we've, per Florida statutes and City of Leesburg Code of Ordinances, the notice requirements project was sent out, legally advertised, posted, and letters sent out to the surrounding property owners. As of yesterday, we have not had any public responses. The applicant has held neighborhood meetings, so we're aware of that. Under the PUD requirements, the proposal consists of 825 detached single-family residences. No other use is permitted in the proposal. The lot sizes would be 50, 60, and 145 feet for these single-family units. Of those 825, 479 would be 50-foot lots, 6,000 square feet lot size with a 1,700 square foot minimum house size. 284 would be 60-foot lots, which are 7,200 square feet, and a minimum 1,800 square feet house size. There are 45 70-foot lots. I failed to mention those a moment ago. 8,400 square feet and a 1,900 square foot minimum house size. And then along the boundaries of number 2 road, 17 145-foot lots, which is going to be approximately 43,500 square feet with a 2,000 square foot minimum house size. So there's 1 acre lots on the exterior along number 2 road per the plan. There's a minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces for each unit, 2 floors being the maximum height. Design and architectural standards are required. Facades are shown in Exhibit D. There's dark sky lighting. Trees required in each yard, 35% of the property in open space. A 25-foot landscape buffer is required along the entirety of the property boundaries. There is a 100-foot landscape buffer along number 2 road, with the 25 feet of that 100 feet, which is closest to the residential lots, has to be planted, which is seen in Exhibit, I believe that's Exhibit G. There's also a requirement for a split rail fence or opaque 4-foot plank fence along Busby Road. Sidewalks, of course, required throughout the development. The use of Bahia or Bermuda is required in place of St. Augustine grass. Access, which is shown on the site plan, will be through the Whispering Hills development. So this one is dependent on Whispering Hills to develop before it could develop. And all traffic is directed through those access points back to US 27, and only emergency access on number 2 road. The main access points are required to be boulevard-type roadways, and signage, of course, was the standard decorative entryway features that we've had in the past. Recreational requirements include 3.92 acres devoted to at least 2 separate recreation areas, which would be set aside for a swimming pool, playground, dog parks, gazebo, those types of things. And, of course, the phasing or expiration clause, which requires the development move forward within 48 months. Now, this development being dependent on another to develop puts some risk here. And it would automatically revert to the RE1 zoning.
What was the timeline? I'm sorry.
4 years, 48 months, yes, sir. going through the recommendations on the case number LSCP 24-345, the large-scale comp plan amendment, Planning and Zoning Department is recommending approval of the request for the following reasons. Number one, the property meets the requirements of Chapter 163.3184 Florida statutes for large-scale comp plan amendments. Number two, the proposed request is compatible with the adjacent future land use designations of Lake County urban low-density, rural transition, and commercial, and City of Leesburg neighborhood mixed use. Three, the proposed request is compatible with the proposed zoning of PUD planned unit development. And four, the proposed future land use designation for the site is consistent with the city's growth management plan, future land use element goal 1, objective 1.6. The action requested is vote to approve the large-scale comp plan amendment from Lake County Rural to City of Leesburg Estate Residential and forward this recommendation to the City Commission for their consideration. On the rezoning recommendation for the Silver Springs project under case number PUD 24-346, Planning and Zoning Department is recommending approval of the request for the following reasons. One, the proposed request for a PUD Plan Unit Development Zoning District is compatible with the current surrounding zoning districts, including Lake County Agricultural Community Facility District and Leesburg PUD, as conditioned in the PUD document. Two, the proposed request is compatible with the proposed future land use designation of City of Leesburg Estate Residential, which is compatible with the current surrounding future land use designations. And three, the proposed request as conditioned in the PUD zoning agreement does not appear to create a detriment to surrounding properties based on the location and proximity to future compatible development. The action requested would be vote to approve the proposed zoning from Lake County A Agriculture to and CFD Community Facilities District to City of Leesburg PUD Plan Unit Development as conditioned and forward this recommendation to the City Commission for consideration. Mr. Chairman, Ms. Tara Tedrow of Lowndes, Doster, Cantor, and Reed in Orlando is here to represent the case, possibly make a presentation and answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Do you know if they're tied to the Windsong ownership?
No, not that I know of.
Wow. Okay. That's a risk.
No, sir.
Okay, any other questions of staff?
Yeah, I have a question.
Full access, no, I don't think so. Yes, sir.
Dan, in looking at some of these pictures of the road, if they develop this, I'm not sure, who's responsible of improving the roads? One of them looks like dirt and one of looks in dire need of repair. Does the developer fix these roads?
The developer is responsible for repairing and cleaning up roads on anything that they're impacting. So yes. Now, within this particular project, if any road goes within their property, they have to pave it, they have to build it, they have to do everything. If they are impacting a road that is adjacent to their property, then they have to widen it, they have to do whatever Lake County basically tells them they have to do, which is always expansion, widening, property right-of-way, turn lanes, or signals or whatever. So basically the answer to your question is yes, they do have to improve the roads that they impact.
Though a lot of those pictures are number 2 road, so that's not being impacted.
Correct. That, and thank you for that point, because number 2 road, because it will only be impacted in case of an emergency, won't have to be, and I can't speak for Lake County, but it's unlikely that they would be required to do anything to number 2 road, simply because all the traffic within this development is directed back to the west to hit US 27 by design.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question. Dan, as far as ingress and egress here, you've got 2 accesses there, but it merges to 1.
Let me get to that page. Diane's getting us there.
Right there.
Sure.
So you got 2 ways out of the development, but it merges to 1 road. At the bottom, right.
Well, that, I don't believe that's going to be the end case, because Whispering Hills has to develop coming in. That's their main road, but I will let Tara answer that one because I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, because
That's going to be a double lane road going through there, from my understanding, on the Whispering Hills side.
Well, most roads are double lane.
No,
You're
I'm
talking
sorry,
about 4 lane?
each, yeah, yes,
Or
sir.
boulevard type?
Double lane each direction, yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Please state your name and your address, and how's the baby?
I've had two, so in 2 years. So they're good.
Last time I saw you were pregnant.
Yep, yeah, well, I think we're coming to an end of that now, so thankfully
Sorry
I
to be
might get
personal.
sleep in 2 years from now, so that should be good. Tara Tedrow, 215 North Eola Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. Thank you for this. Had a presentation. Staff gave a lot of detail, but I do want to talk through some detail that they didn't go over, including some of those access questions that are particular to this site. Now we're going to test
There you
my
go.
tech skills. Oh, you know what would help if I turned it on? There we go. All right. By way of a project overview, 338 acres of vacant land. It's currently in the county, as you heard, east of 27, west of number 2 Road, and about 2 miles north of Dewey Robbins. We've held some community meetings with the residents. As you all probably have remembered from the past, I am a big proponent of meeting with folks in the area. So we sent out notices. We met with those residents twice so that we could come back with revisions to plans that had been requested. At our final community meeting that we had, we were told that the folks that showed up walked away and said, we have no objections, and I followed up with some additional residents who didn't come to that meeting to make sure that they had copies of the plans, who didn't make it, and said, do you have any comments? And there is a reason that we just resubmitted another plan less than 1 week ago, and that's because we had some additional requests that were made. So we revised some lot mixes, which I'll talk about, in order to accommodate those additional requests from neighboring property owners. You heard it's an annexation, future land use amendment, and rezoning. As you all are probably familiar, the reason for the annexation is because of the provision of city utilities. Florida Statutes Chapter 171 says that if you are contiguous to city boundaries, then it's permissible for annexation. There's an ISBA in place, Interlocal Service Boundary Agreement, with Lake County and the city that also contemplate those types of annexations. So this is one of the properties that has been flagged specifically for annexation into the city were a property owner to make such request. So there wouldn't be objection by the county since we've met statutory requirements. So we're surrounded mostly by city properties now, though there are some county future land use designations. The neighborhood mixed use district around us, those are city. And you'll see that up to the north of us is Urban Low, which is 4 dwelling units to the acre. Highland Lakes, that 55 and up retirement community is there. They have a mix of different types of dwelling units. They have some townhomes, but predominantly single-family homes. So the design that's been contemplated here is in keeping with what we have to the north that's already been built out, and also what we have around us to the south and the west that has been entitled by the city for development as well. Has a current zoning through the county as well, and it's a mixed zoning. So about 283 acres of the property are currently community facility district, and about 70 acres of the property are agriculture. So today, under Lake County's regulations, CFD zoning permits a range of uses. Interestingly enough, those uses include assisted living facilities, community residential homes, daycares, professional offices, colleges and universities, nursing homes, and primary and secondary schools. So there's actually, if you go by the ISR under the county zoning code and the future land use too, that would put about 2 million square feet of a college, 4 million square feet of office on a project of this size. And that would then go through the county for access to something like number 2 Road. And the reason that we didn't go on number 2 Road is not because there wouldn't be a legal right to access number 2 Road. It was specifically because we were responding to comments from the neighbors and concerns about number 2 Road generally. So that's why you don't have comments from Lake County Public Works, which this might be. Actually, this is the first time I've ever had a case that didn't have comments from Public Works, and I checked to make sure it wasn't a mistake, and it was not, that there were no comments back on our access and transportation plans. That's because we removed any access permissibility. The only access that you'll see, and I'll show you a plan for that, is going to be through Whispering Hills, which we can talk through. This just shows you the current City of Leesburg zoning map. So around us in these primary zoning areas for PUDs are densities that are about 2.7 dwelling units per acre. We brought ours at 2.4 dwelling units per acre to go below what those were. So you've heard the 3 requests that we have before you, so I want to talk through some of these site plan details. So you'll see that, and again, many of these planned features were done in specific response to what residents had. So about 100 units were removed at the request of residents. We added larger lots, and that was to mix up the lot counts around the property. We had a specific request for 1 acre lots fronting number 2 road with a 100-foot buffer that would preserve an existing mature tree line and add some rural style fencing, also agree to specific rural architectural features and a conceptual design that's been submitted as well and vetted by the residents who asked for those homes that front number 2. The concern that we were told was when we drive down number 2, we want to see what we see today and we want those homes to be in keeping with what we see today. So that's exactly what we promised and delivered to those residents as a commitment in the PUD. Interestingly enough, Florida statutes have changed so that they restrict the ability for local governments to put design features on single-family homes. So another preemption that came out of Tallahassee. We are voluntarily putting those design features on our single-family homes so that there is predictability on those lots facing number 2 road. We've also agreed to add the larger lots on the exterior of the property. One of the specific requests was, can you intersperse some 70s and 60s throughout? So we made all the end caps on the streets larger lots, and then we put all of the larger lots that we have along the perimeter of the property too, again, in specific response to what the direct neighbors adjacent to us had asked, as well as what some surrounding neighbors that live along number 2 road had asked of us as well. You'll see that on the bottom there, the southern portion of our project, it shows one emergency access point onto Busby Road. There was one that went to Watson Road previously that was removed at the request of a neighbor. And so we had the county approve us to have Busby Road as emergency access only, that we would then, if required at that time, build out to county standards if we needed to repave, resurface, and put whatever improvements in on Busby for emergency access. That would be done at that time. You all did note that there are 2 points coming out of the project site that take you to 27. Now, arguably, we have made this more difficult on ourselves by putting access on 27 in an attempt to accommodate the requests of neighbors to not have any cars on number 2 road. So we wanted to make sure we didn't put cars where the neighbor said, please don't put access. And so we understand that there are some contingencies, that if Whispering Hills doesn't build out their access that connects to 27, then we would be responsible for doing it. Otherwise, we would have our lapse of a PUD entitlements in 4 years from today. So that is the same type of risk any developer has. Granted, ours is greater, but it's the same type of risk in terms of at the time we come in for site plan, we still have to prove to you that concurrency can be met on all of that long list of things your staff talks about: utilities, school, and transportation. So it can be really easy to look at things right now today and say, well, what about this one singular part of a road? We did that in terms of not doing anything on number 2, but we also did that because we didn't want to create any more concern that folks have from other projects that may be impacting number 2 that we aren't doing anything to. So 27 is going to be where our access point is. That would be built out to county standards as a primary access, so it's boulevard style access. There's already boulevard requirements in the PUD for our entrance features, but we would also then have to meet county standards, which is typically about a 60 feet of right-of-way to get you out to 27. So if we had to pay to do that and just get access rights from the owners of Whispering Hills, that would be our obligation as the developer to pave that out to county standards for adequate accessibility. And we, again, understand that's a threshold question when we get to site planning as to who's doing it and how are we paying for it, and those are all our burdens that we would have to handle at that time. And again, this just highlights that one area for the 1 acre lots and the types of design standards. So this gives you a street buffer view from number 2 road. If you're driving by our property, there's 85 feet of existing mature tree line that would be preserved. So when we had our planners go back to take a look at what is it going to look like when you're driving down number 2 road with the preservation of our existing vegetation, with the addition of our landscape buffer and the split rail fence, that would be the view that you would get from number 2 road into the site. But we did also agree that we would have these facades as our conceptual renderings, that any home builder would be obligated to go with this style for those houses facing number 2 road as well. So in terms of review criteria, again, the compatibility analysis has been done. The density is coming in lower at what you have both approved within the city directly adjacent to us, but then also what's in the county, like I said, to the north is 4 dwelling units to the acre under their urban low density future land use designation. And I would argue that what we are proposing is far more in line with the built-out environment today and the projected built-out environment under existing entitlements than what you would get potentially under a CFD zoning in Lake County, which we could go and submit for site permits under any of those zoning uses that I talked about and just go through a permitting process without any public hearings. This talks about the different types of comprehensive plan policies in terms of protecting neighborhoods, diversifying housing, having sustainable style development, and making sure that you all have the types of projected needs are being met in the future for population growth. Your staff made positive recommendations, which Mr. Miller had already gone over in his presentation, and there were a couple different points as to why staff was recommending approval on both of the hearing items before you tonight. So we would request that same recommendation consistent with your professional staff. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. And of course, if there's any comments from folks here in the audience, I'd appreciate the chance to come back up and be able to speak to those.
Any questions of the applicants, representative?
I'm just curious to know, have you guys been communicating with the developer of Whispering Hill?
Yes, and I wish I had an update for you. Certainly would be helpful for us to be able to tell you exactly when we could project groundbreaking, but we are not 100% sure. But we're hopeful that we'll be able to get some movement on that project.
Question.
Yes, sir.
You want access to get through their development.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be a limited access, or can they use it as well?
Oh, they would use it as well. So if we built out that primary boulevard through Whispering Hills, that would be a road that their project would utilize.
So that road's going to get a lot of traffic,
Mm-hmm.
and it all feeds into one spot.
Well, Whispering Hills site plan had multiple access locations. So our cars, yes, would go through that accessibility point. Now, could it be routed through one of the multiple areas that Whispering Hills has permitted?
Okay.
We would have to get approval from that at the time of site planning, depending on which access points we could actually build.
Seems as though that would be real important, because you add what you've got and they want to use the same thing. I think you're in trouble.
It's a capacity analysis at that point, right? That when we go in for site planning, if we are showing roadway access through Whispering Hills, we have to take into account the number of units that they would have, the projections on how many average daily trips come from them, as well as our cars that could come through and other traffic that might be able to access those roads in order to design it out.
And you're anticipating a traffic light on 27?
The Whispering Hills, I was reading this before I got up. The PUD that they had approved did anticipate signalized intersections.
So you can do a left and right, not just a right only. Or
Right.
left only, you know, I mean.
Limited access would that would be a problem, but it's been contemplated that there would be signalized access going to 27.
So there's a lot of ifs.
Well, I mean, any development, yeah. I mean, all of them have a lot of ifs, right? I mean, anyone can come before you and hopefully the market doesn't crash, which we don't see any. We're all very excited. We think the market's only getting better. But, you know, those ifs we're willing to stomach because they are not as monumental, perhaps, as ones I see in other jurisdictions.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Seems I always have a question.
Sure, it's okay.
In looking at the site plan that you have, okay, and you mentioned something about hospitals, playgrounds, so everything like.
The allowed.
I don't see it on there, or is that just the preliminary?
Oh, I'm sorry. So is this, are you talking about amenities?
Yeah.
Or are we talking about
You
the
talked about the
uses?
allowed uses.
Okay, so the uses by right, that is in the current zoning. You see in purple on this map, that's the current zoning of the project under Lake County. CFD zoning is compatible with the current future land use designation in Lake County. That part of my presentation was to give you a comparative analysis of what could be done by right today in the county versus what we are proposing. And that's where the professional office, assisted living facilities, colleges, schools, all of that is allowed today in Lake County, but we are proposing something separate from that, which was the distinction I was giving.
Separate. I'm not quite understanding what you're saying, because in that area, the proposed area, it's all houses.
Right. She's saying,
Correct.
but right now, it's zoned a certain way where they could have all that stuff, but they want to zone it where it's just houses. They're going to take away all that commercial, all that traffic from commercial and professional.
Well, how about recreation area, playgrounds, parking spaces, park?
Absolutely, and all of those are included on the site plan. It can be hard to tell on some of these site plans exactly where they are. There is an amenity center. There are multiple green space areas. There are trails around the wetlands in the back that have been integrated in. So those, and there's 4, about 5 different green space park areas. Sometimes we don't program those in just because it's going to be dependent on whether a builder comes and says we're putting a pool with the clubhouse and the fitness center for the residents, or we're putting tot lots or yoga lawns. But there are requirements in the PD that Dan went over that would be required, minimum amounts of recreational space to be supportive of the units that are
Right.
shown.
Right, so, but it's not on that plan.
It is, and I'm sorry if it's not super clear. I wish this, I don't know, Dan, can I use your pointer? See how steady my hands are. All right, so here's an amenity center, open green space that would be for some other type of park use that we haven't, again, programmed in. Another open space for a park use could be a tot lot, could be yoga lawns, things like that, outdoor sports courts like a bocce ball lawn. You have another green space here, another green space here for the community. Then you have trail system, and it's about a 2-point font, I think, on here that says Trail Network, but that's a trail system that's built out for a walking area for the residents. And it might not look big, but it's actually substantial in size back there. That might be a 20-acre piece. Yeah, it's about 20 acres up here that we would have for a trail. That would be a conservation area.
Did you mention that there was assisted living also, or?
So sorry, I may have confused things by giving that comparative analysis, but today in Lake County, so if we didn't come to you to annex into the city, in Lake County, CFD zoning, which is 283 acres of our project site, would allow by right things like assisted living, nursing home, daycare, college and university. You could do an airport.
Okay,
You could-
you're allowed to do that. Is it
Currently.
in Lake County.
planned to do that?
Is it what?
Planned
No.
to do that?
So that's what is
Residential.
allowed today
Just
Residential.
straight
versus
residential, okay.
what is being proposed in this PUD. And I appreciate you clarifying that because I very well may have confused a lot of other people.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Cool. Thank you. Is there anybody here to speak for or against? Far easier than I thought. I would like to thank you for having those neighborhood meetings. I've always been a proponent of that, and I always push that for the developers and the attorneys in the past. So I think that helps a lot, obviously. Okay, I'm closed to the public and for discussion and render a decision. Any discussion? If not, I'll accept the motion to approve or disapprove.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve LSCP-24-345.
All right, there's been a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, is there any discussion? All right. We'll do roll call.
Commissioner Sanders,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowersox,
Yes.
Commissioner Sennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Kaplan. Yes. Commissioner O'Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Simeone.
Yes.
All right.
And good luck.
Well, we're not done yet. On public hearing case number PUD 24-364, Silver Springs Plan Unit Development, is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion to approve public hearing case PUD 24-346.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Bowersox?
Yes.
Commissioner Sinnott?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaplan?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Simeoni?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanders?
Yes.
Thank you. And I will say, I think that traffic off of number 2 road saved us. I can almost tell you that right now.
Count on that.
I'm just guessing. Thank you. All right, under new business, public case number SSCP 24-339, Wayne Storage Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment. And again, we have 2 cases covering the same one. And it's public hearing case number SPUD 24-340, Wayne Storage Small Plan Unit Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And there might be a couple of them. Thanks.
On this project, the overall proposal is for an annexation, small-scale comp plan, and rezoning on 6.52 plus or minus acres. The property is generally located as seen on the aerial south of Hickory Hollow Road, west of County Road 44, and north and south of Variety Tree Road. The request is to allow for future development of a self-storage facility. On the first case, small-scale comp plan, the request is to change the future land use designation from Lake County Rural Transition to City of Leesburg General Commercial. On the second case, the rezoning, the request is to amend the current zoning from Lake County R6, which is urban residential, and Lake County A agriculture and Lake County CP plan commercial, the City of Leesburg SPUD small plan unit development. Diane Yeckel, senior planner with the city, will present the maps and photo exhibits, including the aerial zoning, future land use, surrounding land use, wetlands, flood zone maps, and CRA maps.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. We see on the locator map, it's a broader view of the subject property, and it's showing it as being south of Hickory Hollow Road, west of County Road 44, and north and south of Variety Tree Road. And same thing, just a little bit closer, south of Hickory Hollow Road, west of County Road 44, and north and south of Variety Tree Road. The future land use shows to the west, city general commercial. And we see that it has a current future land use of Lake County rural transition, which is also to the north and west. And to the south, we have Lake County urban low density and regional commercial. And to the east, we have urban low density. The proposed future land use is city general commercial. For the zoning, we have to the east, city SPUD, small planned unit development. The Lake County zoning, the current zoning is Lake County R6, urban residential, A, agriculture, and CP, planned commercial. To the north, we have A, agriculture. To the east, we have planned commercial and agriculture, as well as to the south. And to the west, we have A, R6, and R7, which is the mixed residential district. The proposed zoning is SPUD, small planned unit development. And for the surrounding land use, we have to the north, single-family pasture improved. To the east, we have vacant commercial, retail, vacant residential, vacant government municipal, and auto sales and storage. To the south, we have manufactured home. And to the west, we have single-family manufactured home. For wetlands and flood zones, we have none on the subject property. And it is next to Commission District number 5. And for the photos, we have a close-up on County Road 44 looking into the subject property. And we have looking north into the subject property on County Road 44. We have looking northeast along County Road 44. We have looking south across County Road 44. We have a photo looking southwest along County Road 44. Close up on Hickory Hollow Road looking into the subject property. Looking west along Hickory Hollow Road. Looking north from Hickory Hollow Road. We have looking east along Hickory Hollow Road. And that is all I have. Mr. Miller, thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Moving to the departmental review summary, the project was sent out to all the city departments and Lake County Government School Board. No substantive comments came back from the city departments, and it is outside of the city of Leesburg electric territory. Just to comment on that, electric territories go all over the place and don't necessarily respect city limit boundaries. So it looks like it's been the way this is for every case tonight, but
It's a mess.
they are not respective of city limit boundaries. School board, of course, no comments because commercial projects are not subject to school board review. Under Lake County Public Works, they had no comments at this time. Generally on the smaller projects, they may not have comments, but they will at the time of development, and I am aware that the applicant is working with Lake County at this time. Under public responses, per the Florida statutes and City of Leesburg Code of Ordinances, these ordinance notice were sent out, legally advertised, posted, and letters sent to the surrounding property owners. We received one email with the disapproval along with a couple of other emails that seconded that original email. Mr. Steve Clark, I know he lives adjacent to the property. He had concerns regarding the value of his property. He was asking decision makers to visit his property, concern over abandoned boats and RVs that could potentially be parked there over time. His water source, Hickory Hollow Road. He's looking for some protected green space and newly planted trees, and he asked for a wall. That email is in your packet. I don't know if Mr. Clark is here. Okay, but I'm sure he would like a chance to speak. And I do understand that the applicants have reached out to Mr. Clark and spoken with him. Okay. Under the PUD requirements as it sits at this time, the proposal consists of an indoor self-storage facility. They do have some outdoor storage on there, but it's a more minor component. There is an allowance for one on-site apartment for management and security use. There are no other uses permitted in this proposal. There are design and architectural standards, and they have some facades submitted for an Exhibit D, and basically the only place architecture would be required would be at the front office as you're coming into the property. Dark sky lighting, of course, is required, and trees and landscaping required 35% open space. We've got a 15-foot landscape buffer along the entirety of the property boundaries, along with a master landscape plan. Of course, only Bahia, Bermuda, or Zoysia, no St. Augustine. Now, the planned access points are all subject to approval by Lake County. All areas that are directly adjacent to a residential area is required to have a fence minimum 6 feet, maximum 8 feet in height. That's a requirement in the PUD. The signage is all required to meet the sign code requirements, which would generally, in this case, I believe, be a 4 or 5 foot monument style sign, so it wouldn't be a giant sign out in there. The standard phasing clause exists on this PUD, just like it does on the others. And the development does have to be on city water and wastewater if water and wastewater is available to the property. We do have, I would like to go ahead and read the recommendations at this time on the small scale comprehensive plan recommendation for case number SSCP 24339. Planning and Zoning Department is recommending approval of the project for the following reasons. Number one, the project meets the request of Chapter 163.3187 Florida statutes for small-scale comprehensive plan amendments. Two, the proposed future land use designation of general commercial is compatible with the adjacent future land use designations of Lake County rural transition, urban low density, regional commercial, and city general commercial. Three, the proposed request is compatible with the proposed zoning of SPUD, small plan unit development for a self-storage facility. Four, the proposed future land use designation for the site is consistent with the city's growth management plan, future land use element, goal 1, objective 1.6, and the action requested is to vote to approve the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment from Lake County rural transition to City of Leesburg general commercial and forward this recommendation to the City Commission for consideration. Then under the request for rezoning to small plan unit development under case number SPUD 24-340, Planning and Zoning Department is recommending approval of the request for the following reasons. One, the proposed request for SPUD small plan unit development zoning is compatible with the current surrounding zoning districts, including Lake County agriculture, urban residential, planned commercial, mixed residential, and City of Leesburg small plan unit development. 2, the proposed request for the future land use designation of general commercial is compatible with the proposed zoning of SPUD small plan unit development. And 3, the proposed request does not appear to create a detriment to surrounding properties based on the location and proximity to compatible development. And the action requested is vote to approve the proposed rezoning from Lake County R6 Urban Residential District A Agriculture and CP Plan Commercial to City SPUD Small Plan Unit Development, and forward this recommendation to the City Commission for their consideration. Mr. Chairman, we have folks here that are representing the case, including Mrs. Donica Oliverio, Mr. Craig Frazier, and Mr. Matt Bass. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff before we listen to the applicant? All right. Whoever's going to speak for you, state your name and your address, please.
Hi there, Donica Oliverio. I'm with NV5. We are located 11801 Research Drive in Alachua, Florida, 32615. Thank you so much for hearing our application. Okay. Thank you so much for hearing our application tonight. We do have a presentation. It covers some of the same information that staff has already gone over, but we can answer any questions you have, and we can run through it really quickly, or if you just have questions for us, we can do that too.
Could you turn that up just a little bit?
Can I lean in a little more? Is that better?
Do you have any new stuff that they didn't go over?
Well, we can run through it. Would you like to?
Yeah, quickly.
Okay.
I mean, we don't want to repeat
Okay.
a lot of things. But.
Is this the... Okay, so I think it's working. Shh. Okay. Got it. All right, so as you heard from staff already, the intent is to annex the property into the City of Leesburg. It's currently in Lake County, and to change the future land use category to general commercial and rezone the subject property to a small planned unit development with the intention of allowing a self-storage facility. This is our application timeline. We've met with staff twice before and after our submittal. Here we are before you, the Planning Commission, today, December 19th, and we're tentatively on the schedule for Board of County Commission in February. And I did want to point this out. This is a context map we have. You'll see the subject property across County Road 44 is Brown's Auto Sales, up the street, United Southern Bank. We've got Hickory Hollow Estates, and then the RV Village, Haynes Creek, and the mobile home village there, Liberty Preserve, to the south. And not shown in this map, there's also an area that's part of the, I believe it's on City of Leesburg property, that's the natural gas facility that's just adjacent to the property. So we are abutting existing property that's part of City of Leesburg. Here's the subject property again. The access points in the north are along Hickory Hollow Road, as they said, and then Variety Tree Road is there, sort of bisecting that southern piece. You've already looked at these maps, existing future land use, rural transition all around. It should be noted, too, that in that area to the right and along this side of County Road 44, it's actually a rural support corridor. So all of those businesses, including the bank and the haircutting place and everything along that strip, is all within a rural support corridor and part of this property as well. See, this area CP that connects with the central parcel is also CP. Okay, and this is the proposed zoning map here for small planned unit development. And this is a list of the submittal materials that we provided as part of our application. You'll see that we had a topo boundary tree survey. We have included a preliminary environmental listed species report. There was nothing to report. No listed species. There's no wetlands. The topography is relatively level. We've got land use tables. We did include a traffic impact statement, which gave us a trip generation, pretty low traffic use. and we have a water and sewer connection covenant. As part of this development, there would only need to be one restroom in the office, which would get occasional use, and for that, the covenant allows us to do well and septic on the site until such a time that there is the possibility of connecting, and then the covenant agrees the property owner would connect at that time when city services are available. And then last but not least, our conceptual site plan, which you have already seen. This one's got some color on it so you can see it a little more easily. To the north is an emergency access road. That wouldn't be the main access for the site. The main access would be off of Variety Tree Road. Occasionally that one would be open as needed, but it would just be for emergency access. The Variety Tree Road strip, that is actually a prescriptive use private road, and Hickory Hollow Road is also private as well. And for the piece of it that's on the applicant's property, that piece will get paved as part of the development. So that should actually improve that stretch of the road, which right now I believe is unpaved and like a compressed lime rock. The access then is off Variety Tree Road. There's a tiny parking area adjacent to the office. And as Mr. Miller pointed out, there would be architectural requirements for that office space. You would come in there from the south, you would enter the gated access, and then enter into the rest of the development and move throughout those buildings in there. All the buildings are one story, and as was mentioned previously, there would be an 8-foot-high wall, opaque wall. It would be, I don't know, we've discussed, it could be wood, it could be vinyl, it could even be like a faux stone. So the applicant is open to a lot of different possibilities, but it's not going to be like a chain link fence with like fabric attached to it. I think that was one of the questions that we were asked when we spoke with Mr. Clark. There is going to be a 15-foot buffer, landscape buffer, surrounding the entire property, and those buffer requirements, however many trees and shrubs per 100 linear feet, are listed in the SPUD, so it should be heavily landscaped on all perimeter sides. And so the way that would look from the residential side is you would see the landscape first, then you would see the opaque wall, and then you wouldn't see anything beyond that. On the other side is the development. And as I mentioned, all those buildings are going to be one-story buildings. As far as other site development data, what is typically allowed in CP zoning is up to 2.0 FAR, floor area ratio. This is only 0.4 FAR, so less than 1. And the total impervious area that's typically required would be 80%, and we are well below that at 60%. The stormwater is as shown in the northeast area. That's a bit of a low area of the site, so that's the best spot to put it. And then there would be stormwater across Variety Tree Road. It's colored in blue, but it's not going to be wet. It's probably going to be dry stormwater. Until we do geotech, we won't know, but more than likely this would just be a grassed basin. Again, surrounded by some buffering. And with that, hopefully I wasn't too fast or too slow. Please let us know if you have any questions. I've got Craig Brazier here with me. No. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. I know we have three people so far that want to speak. Has everybody that's going to speak been sworn in? You cannot speak unless you weren't here at the beginning of the meeting? All right. If you haven't been sworn in, please stand again. Or stand the first time. Swear in, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay. All right. Kenneth McDuffie? State your name and your address, please.
My name is Kenneth McDuffie, 9742 Variety Tree Road, Leesburg, Florida.
Thanks.
I appreciate you all hearing me out tonight. Thank you. Variety Tree Road is our only access to the back of our home and our property. And so I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to be compromised, as well as any blockage or anything that would cause us from having a clear lead right away to our property. As of right now, that is our only entrance to our property. We don't have another way, or if they are willing to make us another way, we listen to that as well. But that is our only way into our property. So we were currently working with trying to get that property with an easement at the front of that road so we can do some more work on our property. And then I guess that was compromised because of this. So we just wanted to get that clarified and so we can continue to live there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions of thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Did you want to address something?
Do you need to answer that question?
Yeah, if you would, yeah. Just,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Donica again. There will be the access will not be limited on that road. Variety Tree Road will still exist. It's going to get paved along that strip that's on the parcel, so they will still be able to access their property. And in fact, that road will now be paved, so it might be a little nicer pulling off of County Road 44. Oh, one other note, we have talked to somebody in Lake County about County Road 44. We know that is going to be widened at some point. We took that into consideration in our site plan. So you'll see if you look at it up close that there's a line allowing for that space. And again, that space from County Road 44 all the way up to the property line will be paved, so there won't be any access issues at all for the residents to the west.
okay, thank you. Oh, FYI, you'll be coming to the city commission, not the county commission.
I'm sorry. Did I say that? We've had a
In
couple
your
of public hearings.
presentation, yeah.
Sorry about that. We've had a couple public hearings
I
this
just want
week.
to make
So
sure
like
you
my
knew. I
head
didn't want you to
swimming.
go to the wrong place.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Right. Thanks.
So will that be a legal easement?
Yeah, you'll have access. And they're going to pave it, even. Okay. Donald Shoemaker?
Hello.
Hello. Oops.
My property is pretty much all along the east side or west side of the storage unit. It goes all the way from Hickory Hollow Road down to Variety Tree. And we talked about this species report. As far as wildlife and whatnot, there's eagles over there. We've seen bear sightings. There's turtles over there and eagles. And we're really concerned about overdevelopment and taking away the wildlife habitat. And that's one reason I'm against it. And is there going to be any air-conditioned spaces or conditioned units there?
Okay. Why don't, instead of her coming up every time, we'll just keep track of these questions, and then she'll come up and closing and answer all of them at the same time.
And as far as the emergency exit onto Hickory Hollow Road, the Lake County just approved about a year ago emergency exit for Haynes Creek Village RV, and they've got emergency exit access onto Hickory Hollow Road, but their gate's always open. You know, they can come and go as they please, you know, and I've got a picture of their gate all open all day today, you know, so that's another concern. The trees, somebody was saying that the trees were going to be placed 100 foot apart. We would like to see them placed 50 foot apart. You know, I mean, 100 foot's a long distance for a tree and landscaping, you know. And who's to maintain that space, that green space there? You know, I've got a stockade fence on my property, and now they're putting another fence on their property. There's going to be a 15-foot space there that needs to be maintained by someone, by them, you know. What kind of
whoever owns it would need to.
And what kind of landscaping is this going to be? I mean, you kind of need a more detail. If it is going to be air-conditioned space, what about the noise and the humming of the air conditioners? You know, those things aren't quiet and whatnot. So, and the night light. What is this night light stuff? I don't understand what kind of lighting.
Lights will be set up where it only shines on their property. It'll block away from the property around it.
But I mean, as far as going out and seeing stars and stuff, that's pretty much going to be gone.
Well, if you're on their property, yeah.
No, if I'm on my property.
Okay, well, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, you know, so.
Well, your time's up.
You know, okay.
Time's up.
Okay.
State your name and your address.
Donald Shoemaker, 9823 Hickory Hollow Road, Leesburg, Florida.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Wait, we got one more. State your name and address.
My name is Steve Clark. I live at 9844 Hickory Hollow Road, which is the property that's affected by two sides. So I'd say, along with Don, I'm probably the most affected of anybody. I think zoning, exists. Just to give you a background, I'm a licensed realtor for 20 years, so I understand sales and I understand values. And I purchased this property, I think, just over 2 to 3 years ago. I spent 2 years gutting the property, making this house, as neighbors could probably say, one of the best ones in the neighborhood. So I put quite the investment into it with the expectation that the zoning wasn't going to change. On the neighboring property to the east is residential, and they're asking for that to be a giant 155-foot storage building for me to look out every day. And I understand the fencing that's been proposed is 6 to 8 feet, but the building's going to be 13 feet high. And it's going to be basically it's going to be 2 buildings from what I've seen on the sketch that I'm looking at, one behind and one beside. And with the lighting, and like Don mentioned, the lighting, the noise from the air conditioning, I'm assuming the compressors are outside the units, either on the roof or hopefully they're not on the property line. I'm not sure where they're going to be located, but there's no way it's going to be the property that it is today. And, I didn't put my money into it to lose my money. So I guess there's only 2 scenarios that I would personally support this type of project, and that would be if they were to buy me out for a reasonable amount, or maybe part owner of the storage business for 10% or something. But other than that, I can't see how I'm not going to lose from this, even if they do a great job with the wall and the landscaping, the lighting, the noise, the traffic, every bit of it, I'm going to lose money. And I'm not sure why, I'm going to be affected. And I guess that's my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. We got 2 more to come up.
Okay.
Sorry.
Trying to keep track of all of them.
Lisa, is it Hayden? I should know by now.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hayden. I live at 35121 Dennis Road in Leesburg. I was just wondering why we are looking to expand Leesburg and possibly, harm some property values of people who live there who have invested in their homes. So I was looking to see why we would want to have a self-storage in that area. There's one 3.5 miles away, right on County Road 44, that is Compass Self-Storage. That has 15 units available right now. There's also another dozen self-storage that just easily, quickly found in Leesburg within, maybe a 10, 15-minute drive from this self-storage facility. So that's what I have an issue with, is if it was something that was bringing something to the community, that would be a great idea. And also that it's not within the Leesburg electric grid. It seems like it's kind of like a little bit of an outreach. I know it's part of the ISBA, but these are my concerns, that we're just accumulating land and possibly, detrimentally affecting people who live there already for nothing that's going to bring to the community something special or interesting for us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And Raymond? State your name and address, please.
Thank you. Ray Hayden, 35121 Dennis Road, Leesburg, Florida, 347? Okay, 34788. My point about the property here is, and of course we don't get the larger view of the whole thing, but that's 44 there. West of 44 is going out to Lake Griffin, and we live there. And we're on 20 acres, and that area needs to be 5 acres of land per house. And there's nothing less than that over there, except for a couple areas that had been there for a very long time, and the new area north of there, which is going to be built with hundreds of houses, that was built by D.R. Horton or whoever they are. Across the street, there's going to be some other things that they kind of don't know what they're doing yet, but they might have commercial kind of thing there. That would be great for the other side of the road, where they've already cleared out and leveled all those trees. These trees are fine, and they do have the wildlife there. There are eagles, there are tortoises, and everything else. That's you're not going to tell me they're not, because we have them on our yard. But the other thing is that, and the county knows, and the city commission knows as well, that that side of 44, we've already seen enough. We've already had enough, influx and problems with that. That's on the east side of 44. All those new homes have been built up, and we've had the water problems and this and that and other thing. I don't expect half of those problems to come from a facility like this, but it's simply, honestly, it's just on the wrong side of the road. We keep getting everybody trying to intrude in on that area, which is protected wetlands further out. I mean, there's no wetlands on this particular property that I can see, but they are going to have to dig under the road to get access to that other little that overflow area. They're going to have to put something under the road to get that. But the other thing is that we're all natural land out there. I mean, there's nobody next to us and everything else. And this commercial facility, while they're allowed, and that is commercial property there, and that is a bank over there somewhere too, I believe. But it's just the wrong side of the road. It's the wrong kind of property in this area, and unfortunately, our neighbor is going to have to pay a bad price for that. And it's just getting closer and closer to us when everybody comes in. And I know you don't deal with the annexation, I believe, itself, so I'll have to talk to the city commission on that. But I don't think it should be annexed into Leesburg either. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. Was there anybody else? You want to come up and address any of that?
Okay, let me see if I can.
State your name again, just.
Donica Oliverio, NV5, representative for the applicant. I think the first question was about wildlife. And as I mentioned, we do have a natural resource and listed species assessment. As he mentioned, there are bald eagles about a mile away, and there's a required buffer area that's only about 660 feet. It's a protection zone required by the Florida Wildlife, and we're well far away from that, so it wouldn't apply to this property in this case. And no listed species, as I mentioned, were found, or no endangered species were found on the property at the time of the assessment. So we do have that information if anyone wants to look at it farther. As far as the air conditioning, there will be air-conditioned units. There probably will be compressors, but they're not necessarily going to be lined up all along the wall. And every home in the neighborhood probably has a compressor as well. It's just part of having an air-conditioned unit, but everything will be interior. There's not going to be any outside air conditioning systems running. Does that make sense? There will be a compressor for the building, but it's not going to be any louder than any other compressor that you might have on your home.
What? We're not going to get into a back and forth discussion across the room here.
Did that clarify? Yeah, everything's interior. Sorry, thank you so much, Greg, for clarifying that. Everything will be interior, including the compressors. Everything's interior to the building.
Yes, they're going to be on the drive outside, away from the fence.
I'll let Matt come up here and answer that question since I didn't have all the full information. So hang on. Can I move on to the other things and we'll come back to that? Okay. The emergency access gate to the north will always be closed for security. I know that in the case of the neighbors to the north, they were concerned about that staying open, but for this property, they want it to be fully secure. They want it to be fully fenced, and they don't want people coming onto the property without their permission or approval, so that is always going to stay closed. There would probably be a Knox box or something like that at that end in case of like fire truck access, so it's not going to be wide open for anyone to go. Trees, there are 5 trees required per 100 linear feet. That is listed in the SPUD document. That's a requirement by the city. And there's also a certain number of shrubs per 100 linear feet. So that 100 foot that you heard was really the length of space where the trees and shrubs are described in that section of the code. I think that would put them about 20 feet apart, which is perfect for a canopy spread. So that should keep everything nice and dense as it grows in. Let's see, who will maintain the landscape? The property owner in this case would maintain the landscape. Dark sky requirements, yes, there would be full cutoff lights per all the requirements in the SPUD. And there shouldn't be any nighttime use of this site. This is like a quiet, low traffic use that's typically compatible with rural areas for that exact reason. It's secured, it's fenced, no one's going to be there all night like any other type of bar or restaurant. Let's see. This use supports any type of home renovation, buying and selling of property, renting or moving, life changes such as marriage and divorce, traveling, and even though now there are some other units that are available, there's a lot of development happening here, Orange Bend, Liberty Preserve. There's going to be an increased demand for this type of helpful ancillary use. So I think that covered all the questions, and then let me have Matt come up
Okay, thank you.
and answer the question about the air conditioning.
Yeah. You can come up.
You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name and your address, please.
My name is Matt Bass. I live at 16868 Northwest 100th Avenue Road, Reddick. So typically on all these facilities to address, I don't believe I know the name of the individual, but concerning the ACs, these are divided up into 2,500 square foot units within the building. At the entrance of every 25 square foot section, there's typically a 5 by 10 section, so it's always a 5 by 5 opening to get to the door. And within there, there's a 2.5 ton AC unit that will be located within that, off to the left or the right of the entrance door. So it is under the roof, but it is outside. Those always face the drive aisle location, which would put the AC units, I believe that's 155 feet further away from the neighbor's property. So when you add that to the additional buffer there as well, they'll be substantially further away. And for those of you who do not know, a 2.5 ton unit is much smaller than the average home. So, these being climate controlled, they're not capable of getting to the point of, we're not trying to keep it 60 degrees. We're just trying to keep it cool enough so we're not allowing mold, mildew, or anything like that. If you're putting your belongings in there, you don't want them come back 6 months later and there's mildew or mold all over them. I mean, that's just, no one wants that. The facility doesn't want it. And certainly that's how you don't get repeat business with that. I believe everyone else's questions seem to be, for the most part, answered. I know the road on Hickory or Variety Tree, it will be widened from its current state. Right now it's a fairly narrow lime rock road, so it'll be paved. And I believe everyone's questions may be answered. Do you guys have anything?
I've got a question. The Variety Tree Road, is that who owns that? The ground underneath that?
So we looked into that quite heavily at the beginning of this project, and because we were trying to find access and easement, and then the more we searched, we found out that it belongs to us, actually.
Okay, your property line includes the south boundary of the road, is that what you said?
You mind if Craig is much, he was in charge of this part of the research.
Okay.
State your name and your address, please.
Absolutely. Craig Brazier with CHW 11801 Research Drive, Alachua, Florida. Yeah, attorneys, when looking into issue of title, we're trying to determine, our original concern was, do we have the right to use this road? Is it a private easement? Do we have access to it? And it came back that it's actually, it's just a road that has existed. It's being used, but it is part of this parcel. There is nothing that takes this out of the parcel. So even that basin to the south of it is part of this site as well. So to further guarantee access through it, to make that clear, an access easement will be, public access easement can be placed over that to guarantee access for everyone to the west. Because right now it is just a road by use only. There's no property rights guaranteeing that as use,
if this
future
passes,
uses.
I would
right.
like to see that.
Absolutely. No, we've agreed. We talked to those property owners beforehand, and that's something we've always considered. At first, we were just concerned, do we have the right to use it for access? Because we've always wanted the access to be located here, because the road to the north is not in condition to handle, much more additional traffic. It's a private road as well. Whether, again, we didn't know if we would have access to that, even though part of the paved road to the north is also located within this site. But we have always wanted our primary and only access to be to the south, with emergency access only being to the north.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Appreciate any other questions? All right, we'll close to the public and render a decision. Any discussion before someone makes a motion?
Presently, the land is a wooded parcel, is that correct? Or am I wrong?
It sounds like there's trees on it, yeah.
In the process of coming up with your site plan, on that west boundary, is that a wooded area there? And can you preserve as many trees in there in that 25-foot area that's got to be?
We'll open this back up to.
I'd like to see. I think that's important to the surrounding property owners.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There is already a note on our conceptual site plan stating that any trees that fall within those buffer zones that are in good condition would be preserved.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll close the public again. Is there any more discussion, or is there a motion to be made?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion to approve SSCP-24-339.
Okay, and is that with the,
we doing them together?
well, no, is that with the granting the access to the easement access?
Yes.
Or however you word it?
Yes. And with the wording of granting with the easement access that Mr. McDuffer talked about.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Is there a
welcome.
second?
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Bowersox?
Yes.
Commissioner Sennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaplan?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Simeon?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanders?
Yes.
Okay. Public hearing case number SPUD 24340, Wayne Storage Small Plan Unit Development. We have any discussion or a motion on that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to approve SPUD-24-340.
All right.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Sennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaplan?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Simeon? Yes. Commissioner Sanders?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowersox?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other business need to be brought up before the commission?
Yes, sir, we have one other item.
Oh, yeah,
The line.
On the agenda tonight.
affordable housing.
We'll go through that quickly for you.
Okay, let's hang for just a
Thank
second.
you, sir.
Please take it outside if you're going to talk. I don't like that guy. Okay, go ahead.
We introduced our keyboardist, Smash Van Allen. I wanted to fill you on drums, Candy Harper, tonight. He's going to talk to us about the Live Local Act. Basically, what we wanted to do, Mr. Chairman, was to go over the Live Local Act. That's roughly, we want to go at a high level here because there have been some changes in the legislature past couple of years. There's been some legislation that changes how things can be done in certain zoning districts and certain conditions. And so we just want to ask Candy to talk about that for a moment. We may be coming back in the future with some more information about that. Candy, if you wanted to go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. The Live Local Act originally came from the state legislature in 2023. It is an effort to provide affordable housing throughout the state. During the 2023 legislative session, the Live Local Act was adopted, which allows Live Local Act housing projects to be constructed on any land in a city or county that is zoned commercial, industrial, or mixed use. During the 2024 legislative session, the legislature modified the 2023 Live Local Act to preempt certain standard zoning regulations such as density, building height, floor area ratio, and under certain conditions, parking requirements. In 2023, they threw the door open to say, here, come develop. In 2024, they said, no, only these items. The thing with the Live Local Act of 2024, if you meet certain conditions under 166, there will be no public notice, there will be no public hearing, and there will be no public comment. Even as the number of units may increase adjacent to your neighborhood, the height of adjacent buildings may increase, and the floor area ratio may increase, while the parking requirements may decrease. The City of Leesburg is required to publish on its website a document that will provide guidelines for submission and approval of the Live Local Act 2024 projects. The document will be entitled Expectations for Administrative Approval of Live Local Act 2024 Projects pursuant to requirements in Chapter 166.04151 Affordable Housing 2024. Administrative approval means that the requirements in the expectation documents have been met, and the Live Local Act 2024 project may move forward to site plan review by city technical staff, and if the site plan is approved, move to construction and building permitting. The document before you tonight is in draft form. Since I originally put this together, I have seen a webinar that was very informative from a couple of lawyers, and I am now...
I'm not sure how to take that statement.
That's kind of a double negative.
I am now rewriting it and fleshing it out a little more.
None taken.
I was just calling her
The finalized expectation document will come before this board early in 2025 for review. It is expected that the expectations document will be adopted into the city's Code of Ordinances and posted to the city's webpage shortly thereafter because it is required by statute. So, if you read 166 and you see, Mr. Developer, you can do this if the site plan they have to submit to us will have a special name. It's going to be called the Live Local Act 2024 Development Site Plan so that everyone knows what this instrument is. And if they check off every box in there, then they're deemed complete and they can move straight to site plan and then into construction.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
but it still needs administrative approval,
Administrative approval, yes, sir.
not city commission approval.
In other words, Mr. Chair,
I just turned it on.
Wow.
I thought the meeting was over.
if a person has control, i.e. ownership or affidavit, some type of control over a piece of property that is zoned commercial or industrial, if they want to place residential units, meaning apartments, on that property, as long as a percentage, I think it's 40% or something?
40%.
Is 40%, thank you, is deemed affordable by the state. What this does, and please correct me, City Attorney, if I'm wrong here, what this does is allows them or exempts them from the zoning review, which means they're exempt from signposting, surrounding property owner letters, this hearing from the Planning Commission and City Commission. Now, this was passed by the legislature, and what it allows the development community to do is go straight to the site plan. Forget about this public process.
But to get to that process, they have to come before us, right?
No.
Oh, I thought they had to fill that out. And that had to be
They fill out that form that Candy has been working on very hard, required by Chapter 166 Florida statutes. They fill out that information form, then they can come to the city and drop a roll of plans and say, I'm going to build this. But wait, there's more. They get to use the highest density within the city limits. Doesn't matter where they are. They get to use, remind me of some of these benefits, Candy, if you
Well,
would.
that's where it gets a little ticklish.
The height,
size,
the
parking.
the height of the building can be as high as within 1 mile radius. I think. I'm sorry, I don't have
That's
that.
right. The permitted height that's allowable within 1 mile of the proposed development would be allowed. And then the highest density that's allowed within the jurisdiction.
The highest
talking about this coming.
The highest density allowed in our jurisdiction is 30 units per acre, and that's in the villages. The highest outside the villages is 25, which is downtown. And the problem that staff sees with it, can only speak for staff, is that it eliminates the public process. I don't enjoy nasty, rough public hearings any more than anyone else does.
It's called democratic.
But it's
process.
democracy, and democracy is a nasty, dirty thing, and when you eliminate part of it, I think that is wrong. And I will stop right there. But I think Candy has done a very good job of putting together this list. It complies with state statute, and we will require anyone who wishes to use Live Local to go by it to the dotted T and
I'd like to
cross
have a
T
list of who
dotted I.
voted for it.
Sir?
I'd like to have a list of who voted for it myself.
I think it was a
Putin had something to
unanimous
do with it.
decision in Tallahassee.
Well,
I think
I'm
Putin
not
had something to do with it. It sounds
mistaken.
communistic to me.
Well, as a planner, part of what we are committed to is to make sure that people know, the surrounding property owners know, and they have the opportunity to speak, so that you have the opportunity to make a recommendation or a decision that's in the best interest of the community. And that's what we work our tails off to do here procedurally, to make it as best we can every meeting. We're not going to be perfect, but we get close.
Is this done?
This is
This is
done.
done.
This is a done
Is
deal.
this a state?
It's a state statute that has preempted all of the local governments from allowing affordable housing to be constructed on properties that are already zoned either commercial or industrial.
My problem, if I may, is that affordable housing is an important goal that we need to pursue as a city, no doubt about it. But if someone chooses an industrial property and they can go straight into site plan, if that industrial property is not clean, then there are children going to be raised on this property that don't deserve that.
Right.
And I don't care what economic, what color, what anything, it's wrong. It's wrong.
Completely eliminates local
It can-
observations of what they have to live around. Somebody up in Tallahassee sitting at a damn
The-
desk.
Well, they know more.
That could happen in Tallahassee, too.
The legislature has been gradually eroding tree permits, these food trucks.
It was mentioned earlier about the design standards. We're not allowed to.
Yeah.
We're putting them in there anyway,
put-
Suez.
So does
Sorry.
statute create any design standards within its broad application?
No, sir.
No.
So
I
it's
think I got to go to Lake County days this year.
Yes, sir.
Well,
I
the
don't know where
developer
I'm
has
at.
to develop something that's going to be marketable. I mean, at
Yes,
least you still got that somewhere.
you have that. My concern has to do with highly dense commercial areas or industrial areas and little children running around there, growing up there.
Right. If
That's my edge on it, and taking away the public's right. We don't enjoy rough hearings, but taking away the public's right is
And
wrong.
Also, by
to
not
speak.
limiting certain things, that's another safety issue,
Yes, sir.
If
So.
you build a 8-story apartment building and
Yeah.
and don't have what they need to be safe.
The intent supposedly is to help with affordable housing.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah,
that.
but, you know,
Supposedly. I don't know.
Incentives is the way to handle that.
Yes, sir.
You know?
And there are agencies in the city that are doing a real good job. The CDC and folks are doing a real good job of creating more affordable housing, and we need more, absolutely. But I feel that we should be careful, because we're going to have to deal with this, and I can't bring to you, we as a staff can't bring to you something we have no power to bring.
Right.
Sound like they threw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yes, sir.
Well, they still have to meet all the building construction standards.
That's right.
Laws.
What are we going to do without our $25 a
Right.
month?
It really takes away that
You know?
zoning control in the public hearing process.
This is a different subject, but it's kind of, industrial kind of reminded me about it.
Anybody heard what's going on with the Catrali plant? What can happen there? That's what, 8 or 10 or 15 acres over there of just mass?
Nothing's been publicly decided.
Yeah, I know that.
I tried to contact
I
them
know
on
that
some stuff.
property by square feet. Every fire extinguisher in there.
See, I know all their vacant land. That's what I've been trying to get.
But that's a good example of a project that could just, you would never see it in front of you, and the next day you could be driving by and an affordable housing could be going up there.
And
John, I'll let you know if I talk to him, because I call him about every couple months.
John's worried about a $25 a month salary.
so
He's on a fixed income.
I didn't mean to interrupt Candy. I think she had some more, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
sorry.
I get 10,000 a month. What do you?
Sorry.
I had included in this discussion item both statutes that apply. One of them is 420, and that gets into what is considered low, very low, moderate income. So for instance, as Grant pointed out to me, the rents would be around $2,100 a month.
What?
Yes.
That's affordable
That's
housing.
not
That's
affordable.
housing?
That's right.
That's not,
You're kidding.
by definition, affordable. By reality, no.
Everything they come up with is just.
So,
Yeah,
so
the
in my
index.
own personal experience, on $15 an hour, I could afford to live about $850 a month, at a maximum $850 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
I've done these tax credit deals and all that, and those numbers are always off. I mean, they use New York City numbers, Miami numbers, Tampa numbers.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But basically, if somebody, and we have two people talking to us about it, I believe both of them are lawyers for other clients, and they just want to come in on top of commercial land or industrial land. So we're losing those money-making opportunities in the city, especially with industrial. I mean, those are where the good jobs come from.
Sounds
and
like
it-
the economic development groups need to get involved too.
Yeah, and if you read 420, which confuses me really quick because it talks about finance, it's all about a finance structure for people to come in and invest. And I'm not sure how or when it goes off the rail, but I'm pretty sure it will. I just don't know how.
What good is local government anymore then? You know, I mean, it just takes away local government.
The government that is closest to the people is the best, and I forget who the exact quote on that, but from the founding fathers, but Benjamin Franklin or someone, I don't remember. But the point is, that's correct. When the state takes the power from the people, they're really taking it from the citizens, and I need to be quiet on this, but you understand my point.
Yeah, they would have to, if they did an affordable housing project, they just have to record covenants for 30 years saying that they would have to implement at least 40% as affordable housing. But like Candy said, the affordable element is pretty subjective, but there is a formula that is related to the area income, household income, and they can go up to 120% of that and still be considered under the affordable housing. So that's where those numbers come from.
So
Dan, you may have to put applications in someplace. You're not going to have a job.
So, planning staff and DRC staff and legal are going to sit down and work this out. But basically what I did was I went through 166, and so if you're in a quarter mile of a transit stop, you might be able to cut your traffic. If within 600 feet there's traffic, okay, Mr. Developer, show me where the transit stop is, give me a measurement. Show me where the parking is, give me a measurement. Tell me how many spaces, give me addresses, put them on your site plan. And every step along the way, I pushed it back to the developer to show us on a site plan what they're required to do in order to get certain exemptions, because staff doesn't have time for that. And that's all I have.
Happy news, happy news.
But you know, this is another reason why, you know, staff doesn't present you often with straight zoning, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you're not probably going to see a recommendation for B1 or an industrial zoning anymore. It's going to be a planned district, because if staff presented you all with a straight zoning, the opportunity for Live Local to come back through that is very real.
That was the gate. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. You ruined my day.
Anything else to be brought up?
Merry Christmas.
For the good of the order. For the good of the order.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
So moved.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho.